We're not. All right, guys, and we are back. Yeah, we told you to hang around for a minute. So this is the unfiltered version of the truth behind the truth. This is the truth behind the truth behind the truth. Okay. So anyway, so as we were basically, what part you guys want to kind of, which you didn't get a chance to elaborate on during the first part of the show today? You kind of want to talk about real quick. I know we got something we want to say. Go ahead. It doesn't matter.
I just want to say is we were talking about the comedian what was her name?
Tiffany Haddish.
Tiffany Haddish. You know, and we were talking about the fact with the issues of her driving drunk and getting into these situations of, you know, unfortunate stuff that doesn't need to be going on in her situation. But you know, I wish, you know, with these type of influential people who have access to everything that is thrown out at them, I wish they would take time to get away, to go seek therapy. I'm so, you know, I've been watching all of this Color Purple Press stuff lately, and I am so happy. And I ain't gonna lie, I'm a fan of Fantasia, but I'm so happy that she even put out there that she's been going through therapy before she did the movie, and she's going back into it after the fact. But the fact that the word therapy has been thrown into this press situation is so needed in this world right now because everybody's going through some form of depression, anxiety. It's just so much of that going on. And I wish some of these people who have the money and the wherewithal to do what they need to do to go get their situation, you know, done with, or, you know, to go seek help, go do it instead of having to go and get drugs or to go get alcohol. This is not her first time going down this rodeo. She was in Atlanta some years ago driving high, you know, and she went off to Africa to go find herself.
Oh, Tiffany?
Tiffany, yes.
Okay,
So but see, but like I say, in this situation, I just wish that more people like her would go seek the help that they need instead of going down this rabbit hole of craziness.
Well, you know, and I think a good way of articulating that. The thing about it is that, you know, fortunately, I think that we're able to start a conversation about mental wellness. Like I said, we've been talking about it the whole time, and you never know where people are in their life. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, because I think the last show, I think Parnell, you may have mentioned this on our last week's show, is that when people are in this space, they hide. They don't. There's a mystique about being able to come forward and say, "I'm dealing with things," you know, and it's really bothering me. So it's easier to hide, and they start hiding behind these things of the alcohol, the drugs, and, you know, all these other type of illicit sexual activity and all these other type of things to be able to cope. So the question is that,
and you see where that's getting pubbed at in them.
Well,
when you start doing stuff that's helping you cope, you get into situations of sexual harassment, rapes, DUIs, and jail time, and court costs, and legal fees. Just go seek the help that you need. That's the truth behind the truth. Go seek the therapist.
Well, I think people are afraid to get the help. That it is, because that becomes of a level of exposure. That means that I'm having to expose myself to an issue that I'm trying to deal with. So, and it's not. I don't think they don't find it easy to be able to go to get that help that they desperately need. So because they can't, they run to these other devices, you know, in order to be able to cope. You know, because I mean, when you deal with a high level of abuse. Okay, here's a quick story. I watched it pretty much so in my ex-wife's family. I mean, you know, which is in my opinion, a horrific event that went on, and we're talking sexual abuse here. You just said was a part of our conversation tonight. Well, her and her sisters were sexually abused by their stepfather. Okay, you know, and to the degree that her middle sister has been a chronic alcoholic since the age of 17, and now she is six. She's like 67, 68. All of these years now, she's been through therapy. She's been through, you know, but she cannot break that cycle. that happened. You know, this man, his ass is under 6 feet under. Okay, deservingly so at this particular point in time. And my dealings with him is that then he had the point to be, I'm gonna say, an alleged pastor too at a church in Michigan. But he stood in the pulpit every week, telling all these unnecessary stories, But at the same time, you're touching these girls, and they're having to sit here and watch this and go through this, and again, the middle sister, really, I mean, it's a very sad story. Her oldest sister, when it happened to her, she married real early. She got with her boyfriend, husband, they left town. They never looked back. The question that came up to them was like, why they never told their mother about it, and they swore that they wouldn't because they didn't want to see him getting shot. And the mother said that she would kill him if she found out that he touched any of her daughters. So they carried. The point is that they carried this for so long, and she's still carrying it. After all that time. And I'm talking about, I've been about 45. This has been well over 50 years that this woman has been carrying this trauma, about being abused by this man. Like I say, he's well-to-do, 6 feet under where he deserved to be at this point in time, for what he did. So I'm saying all to say is that there's so many stories out here. I mean, that ones that I had the privilege of being able to share this with you guys, but there's so many stories out here. That people have experienced it. I mean, and just even for where we are at this, we look at how, and we've talked about this on the show as well, that how even in the African American community, there's such trauma that has been carried over from the quote unquote slavery mentality and the things that they experienced by that. And so they didn't know how to deal with situations such as this. So it became a part of their life, and it doesn't excuse the behaviors that have come out of it, but this is the reason why these behaviors have come up too, as well. I mean, the abuse for women and women not being treated accordingly, the abuse for men and not being treated accordingly. I mean, there's just so many lists of different things, and as well as in the Jewish community. I mean, of course, with all the things doing on that time. So this is a problem. You know what I mean? And it's a human problem. But again, I'm going out there. What do you guys suggest to even just start in the littlest way to start helping people deal with their problems?
Well, that's one reason, JB, why I turn around and I went to school to get my doctorate in psychology.
Okay.
Because it was so many family issues that we had, root issues that came from generation to generation to generation, and it kind of spewed over. And nobody dealt with it because it was always you're gonna pray about it and sweep it under the rug. If there's a problem, we ain't gonna talk about it.
Right.
And then it keeps lingering. So no one wants to talk about it. And then when something small happened, it's one big blow up. Right. And now you got this big blow up that it was something that was so small, but you've made it so big because it's not the issue that's at hand. It's issues that stem from the past.
Right.
So I think for me and with my family, I think what I try to tell people is when things happen, you should address it at the moment.
That's true.
And stop bringing it to family events.
Well, address this issue at the moment. If there's an issue that you have with Sally, address this issue with Sally. Y'all sit down and have a conversation like adults.
Right.
Or find a mediator, someone in between in the middle ground that can they don't feel like, oh, you're taking their side or you're taking their side, Right. And I think that's the biggest thing with people. They don't really want to. A lot of people don't really want to fix the issue. They like to dwell in it.
I started the Breakfast Club with Stinky Red because of the fact that Hilarious said something bad about her. She got on the same show and she's sitting there in the chair like this, talking about I don't want to talk to her because she said something about me. And Just Hilarious up there asking her, what did I say? What did I do? Right. If I did say something, I apologize. Right. But just like the fool that she is, she gonna, like Darnell said, you got people who do not want to rectify or clear the situation because they've been trained and they grew up in trauma. That's all they know is trauma. They just know drama crazy. Right. And that was a great example on the Breakfast Club that I saw on I think it was on Twitter. I said, girl, just end it. End it. Right. Leave it alone. If you're not just stop whatever that's going on and just end the matter. But it is what it is.
Oh, I didn't have nothing extra. I was just listening.
Do you want to add something to that?
No. I'm just listening.
Okay.
But our country is going through that too.
Right.
You got Republicans, you got Democrats, you got Muslims, you got Christians, you got a lot of people who just cannot have a conversation.
Right.
You had a conversation about the fact that, you had a situation of a debate about Bible scripture. And the fact that you cannot even come to the meeting of the mind about a Bible scripture without somebody calling you a heretic.
Right.
It's just the crazy. And we're in a situation of wars right now that are going on either in the Middle East or with Israel. There's no conversation with that either.
Right.
Nobody's coming to the table and saying let's talk amongst and clean this up.
Right.
That's because with us having a conversation like this, we could save some lives. Right. But nobody's trying to save lives. It's just always it's investing in crazy at this point. And I think that's where it boils down to right now.
Well,
in society.
People don't want to lose whatever level of power that they have, at the end of the day. And because you're holding grip or holding hostage to that power, you're not willing to have a conversation, because that means you're going to have to step back to be able to listen to somebody else, and at that point you feel like you're relinquishing your power. To your point about, I find myself getting in these little debates unwillingly, but willingly. Just want people. I don't get in conversation a whole lot on social media because I get too philosophical. People look like, oh, really? But there are some that challenge me, and then challenge me, and I think it's probably more on the spiritual line of stuff versus the this other common debate. But there was one that came up the other day. This guy, he put up his little poster, and so then he has all these people standing around burning in hell. I'm like, oh God, not again. You know what I'm saying? It's like, do you freaking people pay attention to anything? Do you ever evolve in anything? But again, here's a group of people that is traumatically feel like that they have got the absolute on every word of God, and nobody else can do anything different than it has to line up specifically with them. Henceforth, the evangelicals that are trying to run the country, and so you put this propaganda out here. And I'm like, Lord, I got to call this propaganda out. I'm sorry, because I look at the other people, the people that are struggling, even in a mental capacity, to find out where they have a solitude. And then they're scrolling. Yes, they're on social media. And all of a sudden, you get across this damn picture. People say, oh my God, I'm burning in hell. And then because of what someone else's belief factors are imposed on you, because they choose to see that hell for them by their lives, so they want to make you be in hell. So I challenged it, which I rightfully do, and I went down, and and I as I talked about it on the show, I dealt with it from the love factor. This guy could not stand the fact that I dealt with it from the love factor, because he wanted to call me a heretic. He told me that I didn't know what I was talking about. Everything else. I said, sir, excuse me, I have probably know far more than you think that I know, but I'm not going to get. And I told him, I said, do not debate me on it. Oh, he hated that. I took in that instant, I took his power from him. You see what I'm saying? I didn't feed into his narrative to give this back and forth. So I took his power from him and said, I'm not going to, and this is what I'm saying, and do not debate me on it. First thing he said when he responded was, well, since you don't want to be debated about it, that's okay. There we go. There's my point. That's what I needed to know right there. At the end of the day, So I said my point. I said, look, I'm not going to get into this with you. You have your narrative about it, but at least hopefully you will come to the point that love will overshadow any point about what you're saying at this time. And if it doesn't, I'm sorry for you, at the end of the day. So it's out here, guys. It's so unfortunate that we have to deal with this type of stuff going on, And again, social media is great on this one aspect, but then again, it opens up people to sit behind a keyboard or cell phone, throwing derogatory spews out there into a group of people that are dealing with stuff, and there's no respect for the fact that the people that are dealing with stuff, at the end of the day. But thank God that there is the truth behind the truth. All right, that you tune in another week. Hey, we will come with the narratives. We may agree on our platform, but yet at the end of the day, we find a happy reason to pull it all together for you, so that you can be better your lives. And if you ever need to reach out to us, via email or whatever, you're going through something, we do try to provide you with the help sources to be able to get yourself clear, because we don't want you having to get DUIs and and threatening killing yourself and all of the other things that go suicide and all those things that go with that. All right, Please don't do that. Matter of fact, we have the suicide hotline down at the bottom there if it's necessary, that you're thinking about that, because it is a serious thing, But know this, we got to go. But know that you're loved, know that you're supported, know that we're here in a way that we can be. That's why we do this each and every week, okay? We want to take it up to another platform for you, but hey, we need your support. But at the end of the day, know that these 4 gentlemen care about you. Okay, they really. 5 gentlemen. Excuse me. Yeah, that we care about you. All right. We'll see you again next week on the True Pan True for our celebration. All right. Y'all have a good night.